All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a mystery that's been around for 2,000 years, the Star of Bethlehem. It's this incredible story that sits right at the intersection of faith, history, and, you guessed it, astronomy. For centuries, it's been one of history's great unsolved puzzles.
You know the story, right? It's iconic. A mysterious star shows up in the sky, and it guides these wise men, the Magi, on this epic journey to find a newborn king. It's a tale we all feel like we know by heart.
But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the star wasn't some giant blazing light for everyone to see? What if it was more like a secret message, a coded clue, hidden in plain sight up in the heavens? Now, that one question, well, it changes everything. It turns this familiar story into a 2,000-year-old cosmic detective case.
So for literally centuries, astronomers have been on the hunt. They've been trying to find a single brilliant object in the past that could possibly explain this star. And, they've come up with a few usual suspects. The leading theories have always been about these huge, spectacular events. Something like a dramatic comet blazing across the sky. And we know Chinese astronomers actually saw one back in 5 BC. Or maybe a supernova, a star exploding, which would create a new star. And again, there was one of those in 4 BC. I mean, these things would have been absolutely impossible to make. But here's the thing. There's a huge hole in those theories. The story in the book of Matthew is super clear about one detail. When the Magi get to Jerusalem, King Herod is completely clueless. He and his whole court are surprised by the news. So, if there was a giant celestial light show going on, wouldn't somebody have mentioned it to the king?
Okay, so the big break in this case didn't come from where you'd expect. It wasn't found by peering through a telescope, and it wasn't uncovered in some ancient scroll. Nope, the clue that cracked this mystery was found on something you could hold in the palm of your hand. This is where our detective story takes a really sharp turn, and it's all thanks to an astronomer and coin collector named Michael Molnar. He's studying this old bronze coin, and he spots a symbol that completely changes the game.
So what was on this coin? Well, it was minted in Antioch, which was a huge center for early Christianity. And on it, there's a ram. That's the symbol for the constellation Aries. And it's looking back at a star. This wasn't just some random design. This was a message.
And that's when it hit him. This little piece of metal sparked this revolutionary idea. What if this coin isn't just art? What if it's a historical record? A kind of snapshot of the exact celestial event that the Magi saw? And just like that, a whole new investigation was born.
Okay, so this is where Molnar's theory really starts to cook. He realized the key wasn't to look for something that we would find amazing today. The key was to figure out what an ancient astrologer would have seen as a huge deal. You have to see the sky through their eyes. And that's the crucial shift in thinking. See, the Magi weren't just guys who liked to look at stars. They were expert court astrologers. For them, the sky was like a giant message board. They read the movements of the planets as omens and signs. It was a language, and they were totally fluent.
So Molnar used modern computer models to literally wind back the clock, all the way to April 17th, 6 BC. And what he found was incredible, a perfect storm of astrological signs. First, you have Jupiter, the king planet, showing up in the constellation Aries. Why is that important? Because ancient astrologers linked Aries specifically with Judea. Then, to make it even more significant, the moon passes directly in front of Jupiter, an event called an occultation. For a Magi, this combination would have been a screamingly obvious omen. A new, powerful king has been born in Judea.
And this solves our biggest problem. This star wasn't some flashy light in the sky for everyone to see. It was a subtle, predictable astrological alignment. It might have even happened during the day. It was a private message, a coded signal meant only for experts who knew how to read it. And that is exactly why King Herod was totally in the dark.
So just how special was this alignment? I mean, was it a big deal? You bet. Researchers actually calculated the odds of this specific thing happening. The moon covering Jupiter in Aries with Mars also in the picture. An event like that happens on average only once every 6,000 years. So yeah, this was an exceptionally rare sign. But hold on, the story doesn't stop there. Because that coin that Molnar found, turns out it wasn't a one-off. It was just the beginning of a tradition that was hidden for centuries.
So another researcher, a coin expert named T.B. Cartwright, gets totally inspired by Molnar's work. He starts hunting down all the ram and star coins he can find. And he discovers they weren't all made in the same year. In fact, he found evidence they were part of a whole series, minted over and over again for more than 200 years.
Now check this out.
When Cartwright plotted the dates the coins were made, a jaw-dropping pattern emerged. The dates weren't random at all. They lined up with significant anniversaries of Jesus' birth. You can see it on the timeline. Coins were made around his 12th year, his 18th, and even one for the 250th anniversary. It really looks like for centuries, a community in Antioch was secretly commemorating this event, hiding the message in plain sight on their money.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? After 2,000 years of searching for some kind of cosmic spotlight in the sky, it turns out the answer was something far more subtle and, honestly, way more interesting.
Let's put all the pieces together. The Star of Bethlehem probably wasn't a star at all, but a powerful astrological message. The key that unlocked the whole mystery was found on an ancient coin, and the message only made sense if you understood the world like an ancient Magi, not a modern astronomer. Finally, it seems this event was so important that it was secretly commemorated on coins for centuries.
You know, the story of the star is just an incredible reminder. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other huge secrets from our past are still out there, just hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to come along and just look at the evidence in a completely new way?